4 minutes. That's how long the average human can last without any oxygen before irreversible brain damage takes place. The duration of your favorite song is exactly the amount of time it takes for a loved one to pass due to a lack of oxygen exposure. As more carbon gases are emitted into the atmosphere, how long do you think you can last without any breathable air? Good morning, my name is Catherine Velez, and today I will be speaking on air pollution impacts on human health. The research question being presented today is, in what aspects has the decline of air quality due to climate change impacted human health in the last 20 years? Through large amounts of research, I've concluded that the decline of air quality has negatively impacted human health in mainly 3 different ways. First, there's been a recorded increase in mental health illnesses directly related to air pollution, as well as physical bodies deteriorating and human intelligence declining. Carbon gas emissions have increased significantly in the last 20 years, and they continue to increase on a global scale. As illustrated in this bar graph, we can see that in the 1999 bar, when population was at about 6 billion, metric tons of carbon emissions released were at about 6 billion as well. However, in the 2014 bar, when population was at about 7.3 billion, carbon gas emissions were at 10 million metric tons released. In the right, we can see the pie chart explaining the distribution of greenhouse gas emissions in 2020, with transportation, electricity, and industries being the main air pollutants, and commercial, residential, and agricultural needs being the least. As carbon gas emissions increase and air pollution intensifies, mental health disorders are intensifying as well, as illustrated in this map, which demonstrates the amount of mental health disorders in each country and how countries with higher levels of air pollution, such as China, India, and the US, have higher levels of mental health disorders. In 2019, a study of Danish and Americans found that found that people living in cities with more polluted air were at greater risk of suffering from a psychiatric illness, such as depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. In the Danish population, the people with the highest exposures had 148% and 162% much higher rates of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Carbon emissions aren't just harming our mental health, but our physical health as well. According to the World Health Organization, 7 million people die prematurely each year due to air pollution, through fatal causes such as heart, brain, and lung illnesses, along with many impacts in born and unborn children, including respiratory infections, behavioral disorders, and even childhood cancers. In 2016, ambient and household air pollution was responsible for nearly 600,000 deaths in children and teenagers. As stated in the previous slide, air pollution is responsible for an estimated 7 million deaths worldwide each year. However, in this bar graph from our world data, we can see the bigger impact of air pollution, indoor and outdoor included, considering that it is ranked number 3 in leading causes of death worldwide. Air pollution has proven to alter living beings, as illustrated in the College Board supplied stimulant photographs. On the left photograph from the Urban Evolution article, we can see the effects of a moth exposed to coal pollution and how its effects made it turn almost completely black. These same effects can be illustrated by the migrant mother photograph on the right by Dorothea Lange, where a 36-year-old mother appeared to have aged significantly due to the terrible air quality in 1936 from the Dust Bowl. Both the moth and the migrant mother photographs illustrate the physical effects that air pollution can have on living beings. In a 2018 study conducted by Imperial College London that tracked over 130,000 patients for a span of over 7 years, it was found that there was a cognitive decline in people that lived in more polluted cities than those that lived in more rural areas with typically cleaner air. The drop of intelligence was equivalent to 1 year of schooling, and although researchers first thought that this may have been related to other factors, further statistical tests proved that there was a direct correlation between air pollution and brain function. The researchers then expressed an immense worry over this drop in human intelligence because of how overlooked and unspoken it goes. Now, there are a couple of proposed solutions. First is to reduce our own personal carbon footprint, meaning using less water, consuming less gas, etc., as well as investing in sustainable forms of renewable energy, such as wind turbines, solar panels, and other forms of renewable energy that don't produce harmful carbon emissions. Lastly is for the government to implement more financial aid and legislations in favor of conserving the environment. However, there are limitations to these solutions. First is that sustainable sources of energy are not always affordable to everybody, which forces many people to have to rely on cheaper forms of energy that more often than not release harmful gases into the atmosphere. Lastly is that rules are not always enforced nor followed, which allows many people to slowly destroy the environment and eventually take us with it. Is my work cited? Thank you.
All right, 2 questions I have for you. How valid and reliable were the sources that you used, and then how do you know they were?
My sources were very valid and reliable because they were all government-issued articles and peer-reviewed journals, as well as clinical trials, and yeah.
Okay. And if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct on this subject?
If given more time, I would have liked to research the direct relation between my different perspectives, such as how physical impacts can impact mental health, and mental health can impact the cognitive decline, and vice versa.